Welcome to Inspired Living in Mexico. I'm Barbara La Pointe, your PV realtor with a heart. When we hear about retirement, it's always about the logistics, financial and health planning, downsizing, the to-dos. If you've ever felt that way when you're thinking about your retirement, let us know in the comments right now. I'd like to know about those emotional and psychological ups and downs that we might go through when we're considering our retirement future. It's really a time of great upheaval and huge change in our lives. If you've ever felt a little intimidated by that, let me know in the comments. Well, my guest today is Leslie Hayden, and she has a background in performance psychology. She's a transitional coach who specializes in change. And that's everything from starting a new career to business coaching to relocation, as we heard a few weeks ago with Leslie on our podcast. Leslie Hayden works with companies and individuals around the world to help them rebrand both professionally and personally. She's fantastic. She helps you to get unstuck. Welcome, Leslie.
Hi, thanks, Barbara, and thanks for having me back. So do. I mean, we talk about retirement, and as you said, people plan. So they plan where they're going to live, they plan their finances, and very often they even pre-plan about what they're going to do for the rest of their life when they actually stop working. And I want to get back to this idea of pre-planning because this pre-planning in itself is a challenge. But first, I want to talk to you about the stages of retirement. What's interesting is that the numbers are with us. I mean, today in Canada, more than 250,000 people a year are retiring. And in the States, more than 10,000 people turn 65 every day.
Those are big numbers.
Those are very big numbers. And what that meant is that finally, psychologists are now starting to look at retirement and to study it and say it's more than just putting us out to pasture. So just as when we talked about relocation, there's 5 distinct stages that one goes through when you retire. And it's important to understand these stages because it normalizes it for 2 things. One is it makes you realize, okay, whatever I'm feeling right now, this will pass. I'll move into the next stage. And second of all, those feelings are transitory. And that's to the point, whatever you are feeling, they will change. Circumstances will change and you will change how you feel. So let's talk a little bit about what these 5 stages are. And to your listeners, they can probably identify to say, oh, I'm in this right now. And stages are never linear. So it's never about, I move from stage 2 to 3 and then to 4. It goes back and forth. So let's begin. So the first stage is the stage when you're really anticipating, you're looking forward to it. It's that stage where you're thinking, oh my goodness, I can't wait. Things are going to change. You know, you're going to miss things, but there's that real sense of excitement around that. And it's kind of mixed emotions because the future can be very daunting. So that's the first stage. The second stage is when we move into what we call that honeymoon stage or that euphoria stage. And you can't believe that your time is your own. The freedom. I actually have a client who for 40 years was working for the city. After she retired, she couldn't believe she could have a lunch that was longer than 55 minutes. Just the idea of being your own boss, of your time being your own, just feels so liberating. And that's really exciting. And that lasts for maybe a year and a half. Then, just as there is the sun, there's always the shadow. That sort of gloss of retirement wears off. And people start to think, is that all there is? And you start to see that sort of a drudgery of the sameness of every day being the same and nothing really changes. It's a period of real disenchantment and disillusion. You miss your routines, you miss your social interactions. It's when you start to say, well, what's my purpose and what's my fulfillment here? What's my sense of being and doing?
Yes. Like I imagine people go through a lot of different emotions with retirement.
Tremendous amount of emotion. So after this disenchantment, this is when the real emotions come in because people start to say, well, what do I want to do? Because nowadays we're living much older. So if you've retired at 65, you've probably got a good 25 years at least to spend living your life. And it's, what do I want to do with my life? How do I want to spend the rest of my life? What do I need to do? How do I need to feel? And so this time, so this is stage 4 when we're looking at reflecting and adjustment. It's all about self-exploration. It's about discovery. A lot of identity crisis at this point, where people are really starting to say, am I who I was? And who do I want to be going forward? And then finally, the last stage, which is acceptance and integration. And that's when you get comfortable and you get into a routine where you feel this is what I want to be doing next. You get that different sense of identity and purpose. That's the really fun time. And I love working with clients who retire because you're working through that roller coaster of feeling, right? You find contentment, you look forward to the rest of it. And rather than shutting down, it's really important for people who retire to recognize that this is a time of renewal and growth. So this is a time where you can continue to learn, evolve, and thrive. It really can be your golden years, but it takes work.
It's much more exciting to sort of shift and think of it in that way. And Leslie, I love it when you were saying earlier off camera about the opportunity to rewire, not just retire, but actually rewire your brain.
I love the concept of rewire. And rewire is really about reallocating your time. And I think what people have to understand when you move in retirement is they'll have certain interests and certain passions. And first of all, a passion, people will say, follow your passion. A passion is really an interest that starts to build, because so many people will come and say to me, but I don't have a passion. And I say, no, we start with an interest. Start with something that you're just interested in. And let's see if that builds. And by the way, if you get disillusioned or you lose interest after a while, the fun thing about retirement is you can move on to something else. So you're not stuck. And that's what rewiring is all about. It's that continuation of movement and action and curiosity and exploration, rather than feeling this is who I am and this is where I'm stuck.
Leslie, I know you know a lot about this area because you're a performance psychology background and you're a motivational coach as well. So I appreciate you. But before we continue talking any more about retirement, can you tell us a bit about the tools that we may have to take on when we're challenged at this stage of our lives? For those of us who are thinking that, like, still stuck, we're thinking that, okay, those best days are my best days are behind me. Or they're thinking, well, my brain is aging, and I say aging brain, I sometimes even think that about myself, and that's not a very exciting future. So what about those of us out there, and comment if you've ever felt this way in the comments, that feel those kinds of emotions and thought patterns?
Absolutely. That's such a great question. And, I had a client say to me yesterday, oh, I can't do this. My brain doesn't think the same way. And I said, well, actually, no, that's not true at all. You're trying something completely different. You're working in a vacuum. You're working in a different way. There's all these other things. And it's not about your brain not working the way it used to. It's about you're taking on a new challenge. And it's probably been a long time since you actually had a new challenge. And so you're feeling confronted by it. But I really want to take stock, because forget rose-colored glasses. We look at aging through dark-colored lenses. We look at what we've lost rather than what we've gained. And it really helps to reframe those years, because they are vibrant, engaging years. So there's so many positive aspects of the brain in later life. Of course, cognitive changes do occur, right? But there's so many strengths and skills that people have acquired over the years that they don't acknowledge to themselves, let alone to others. So let's take a look at that. First of all, people have increased wisdom, deeper perspective at this age, and they do themselves a disservice by making them less than they are. Older adults have a better ability than their younger peers to solve complex programs. They can make informed decisions. They can navigate social situations. They have really well-developed social skills, and they often have a really solid network of connections. So what that means then is they can manage and regulate their emotions better. And this is really, really important, the idea of regulating your emotion, because that contributes to greater emotional stability and well-being. And that carries us through so many things, whether it's in your personal life or in your business life. Older adults, and this is all backed by science, have developed really strong coping skills and resilience through these challenges that they've faced through life. There's creativity, innovation, resilience, coping skills. Older adults are thriving, and all of these help them to change and challenge those things that come at them. And so really, I want people to stop saying, my brain isn't what it was. Your brain has evolved like every other muscle. And in fact, it may not be what it was. It may actually be better.
I find that so inspiring. Like I'm sure a lot of people out there find that very inspiring. Leslie, Napoleon Hill once said that a man, and he did say a man, not a woman, is most useful between the ages of 45 and 60 years of age. So maybe nowadays that would be like between 60 and 75. I don't know, but I always remembered that during my dating years.
And good for us to know. But Barbara, when you think about some of the accomplishments that people have had in their later years. I mean, the current president of the United States was 78 when he was elected. 12 presidents were over 60 when they were elected. In Canada, we had 8 prime ministers that were elected over 60. Dr. Anthony Fauci, that American physician who played such a prominent part in COVID-19 in the United States over the last couple of years,
yes,
he's in his 80s. And he was the foremost authority. And, people who watch the movie The Black Panther, the big actress, the one who, like, to great acclaim, she's 88 years old, Dorothy Steele.
Whoa, that's very cool. I mean, as we're always valuable as humans, but just to, remember that we're so valuable in these stages too. And I love it because I always get offended when we are in this throwaway society, like people don't have, value and a use when they're in their older years. But it really resonates what you're saying to me about aging and getting older and and navigating, regulating emotions better.
Exactly. And, I work a lot with people in the tech world, and I see so many examples of people in the tech world who have accomplished major, major things. For example, Paul Tetrick, he developed the first wireless EKG telemetry system for monitoring heart patients. He patented his invention at 81. And he just recently started this unbelievably successful global company that sells the systems worldwide. There is tremendous potential for growth, creativity, and achievement at this age. The fact that you've left that job and moved on to something else just means the door is open for you to explore that.
Very inspiring. If you're looking forward to your retirement future and you can feel yourself just even shifting a little bit as you're listening to us talk about this, just let us know in the comments because we're there live when the show airs to comment and respond to you personally. But I think you can have, and I think what I hear you saying, Leslie, is a very fulfilling life as you retire or
rewire, right? Let's lose retire. We're not tired. Let's lose the tire. You're not retiring from life, right? You're not stepping aside. You're just rewiring the next chapter. And I want to talk about, as I mentioned at the beginning, this pre-planning. Because what I see a lot with my clients and so many people that I know are people who have planned it out. They've said, okay, I'm going to retire in 10 years or 15 years, and this is what I'm going to do. And this is how I'm going to spend my time. And then what happens is 10 or 15 years later, it doesn't fit. It doesn't suit them. It's like you buy a piece of clothing and you put it in your closet and you say, I'm going to wear it 10, 15 years now. And then 15 years later, you try it on and it doesn't fit. It's outdated. You don't like the way it looks. It just doesn't fit. This is happening more and more because the world has changed so much that the plans that you made 10 or 15 years ago, or even 5 years ago, may not suit anymore. And what we have to do here is we have to stop bullying ourselves. We have to be kind to ourselves. We have to recognize that those plans don't fit. And because they don't fit, then we've got to allow ourselves to do something else. Give yourself permission to not be that you thought you would be.
Like, let's say, I'm just curious, is this a matter of adaptability and flexible thinking when it comes to going with the flow and just things are changing what had penciled down and planned out so meticulously?
Well, absolutely, Byron. Those are really good points. You have to be flexible and adaptable, but it starts with giving yourself permission to not be who you thought you would be. So when we talked about an identity crisis, for instance, it's about allowing yourself to see yourself in a different way. And I'll give you an example. I have a client who always wanted to be a homeopathist. So during the years that she was working, she did the studying. This was always what her plan was. When she retired, she was going to go into homeopathy. This was her big thing, and she told everyone, and she looked at the studying, and she even figured out where she was going to have a clinic. And then she retired. She started the real degree. It's a 2 to 3 year degree. And she thought, oh my gosh, I'm bored. And it was a huge, huge problem for her, because if she wasn't going to be doing this, then what was she going to be doing? And she had told everyone this is what she was going to be doing. And so she had invested the last 10, 15 years in plotting out her future. But it didn't fit for her anymore. So it's about being flexible and adaptable, but it's also about allowing yourself to change directions, to take a different path, to realize that the path that maybe you set out for yourself, it wasn't the right path. It doesn't fit. Instead, today, actually, she's doing improv theater, which she absolutely loves, and she never thought she'd be doing that. So it was about having to work with her and say, who are you today? Because in that time, those 5, 10, 15 years, you may have gotten battered a bit by life. Things have changed. So deal with what you're dealing with today. Deal with today's realities and how you fit and feel that you want to continue in it.
I love that. And, sometimes personally, I feel like I can't catch up with all the identities I have. Like, who am I in this very present moment? Time is going by so fast and we're changing a lot. But just to recap, I really liked earlier when you mentioned that human beings are living much, much longer, sometimes to 65 or 75 years of age. They're still very vigorous at this age and engaged in the world. So I think it's really, really relevant and important what you're sharing. But just to even clarify more deeply, Leslie, for those of us who want to make the most of this time period of our lives as we step into rewiring, and thank you for that shift, Leslie, how should we think about retirement now?
So I think you want to think about retirement as a destination, a journey. Think of it as a journey, not the destination. You have to let yourself time to figure things out. And, people have more time. Give yourself a little bit of time. Just figure it out. Just, what? I have a friend of mine who's moved to Mexico, and I know that's where you're living, Barbara. And she's just taking this time as a time of sanctuary. And she's saying, this is a year for me to just figure things out. I don't really have to do anything. I just have to be. We have to allow ourselves to do that. There's no right or wrong way to respond to a major life change, except to acknowledge that we have gone through a major life change. There's a lot of grief associated with that because we're not the person that we were. We've lost our identity. We've lost our status. We've lost our work husbands, our work wives, those friends that we had. So there is that period of emotional adjustment. And again, I find people who retire are bullies to themselves a lot. I find they're not always their own best friends, where, they think, oh, I should be doing something more, or I have higher expectations of what I would be doing at this point. Just be your own friend. Embrace that flexibility. Let yourself be calm, have calmer waters, step back and find what you're enjoying. And, it doesn't always lead to fame and fortune, but if we can, I think it's a Buddhist who said, find a pleasurable life. Look for pleasure in your life. And if we can find that, we can grow from that. And that's really what retirement or rewiring is all about, is enjoying these things. And the more we do that, of course, the healthier we are.
Yes, so valuable what you're sharing. I actually felt my body calm down. So really focusing on the pleasure and building momentum there, and not bullying ourselves. I hear you saying, in those kinder thoughts that can help. Kinder thoughts.
I have to say, if I had to communicate one message to retirees, I would say, don't take it too easy. And I think, having stress and challenge and this exploration, it's not bad for you. At manageable levels, stress can help you build resilience and solve problems and stay focused. When you take it too easy, I'm saying calm down, but that doesn't mean spend your days napping or sitting on the couch or dozing in the sun or watching TV. That doesn't keep your brain active and alert. In fact, that lack of challenge might even be more harmful to your health and makes you less happy. So the idea is keep challenging your brain. Be kind to yourself in that. Find those things that you're interested in. Look for things that are interesting to you. Try something new. Try something you're a little bit afraid of. Try something, surprise yourself. That's the best thing you can do, is surprise yourself. And it makes you a much more interesting person, not only to others, but to yourself. The worst thing we can be as we enter those stages of rewiring is boring. And when we bore ourselves, that in itself works on us both mentally and physically. And so keep that kind of fun and alertness and challenge alive. Manage the stress. Don't necessarily run and hide from it. There's lots of life. You still have many, many years of life out there. So think about how you want to live it. And don't think that you're going to figure it all out all at once.
Exactly. I like that so much. I think it's very exciting and just a really nice paradigm shift and different ways to think and different ways to focus our energy. You can still look for a happy hour at your local pub, but you can't look for them every single day. So stay engaged is what I hear you saying, Leslie.
Exactly. Don't lose yourself in alcohol because you're doing yourself a disservice. You've got 25 great years. It's a gift. How do you want to use it? What do you want to be doing with it? Right? So don't run away from it. Embrace it and think, wow, okay, this is my time. And that's what rewiring is all about. It's your time. How do you want to use it? I work as a coach. I work with so many people who come to me that are completely at a loss. And there's a process. There's a very easy process that we go through. And it starts with, what do you think you're interested? And so many people say, I haven't got a clue. And that's what's really so much fun, is the discovery process for them. It's energizing. I can actually see them as we work through the sessions. I see them physically. It's almost like a wilted flower. I see them bloom when they get more interested and they get more fun and their eyes open. And then they start to tell me stories. And it just becomes a really exciting adventure that we're on. Again, it's all about the journey. It's not about the destination.
Yes, I like that. Think of it as a journey, and I love the way you're always focusing on what's possible, and just you always underscore the possibilities. I could see how it'd be actually pretty fun to work with you. There's a lot of value in having a coach, and you are a retirement coach. So, any last words of wisdom for retirees who are still listening?
Well, I hope you're still listening, because I definitely want to tell you that when you work with a coach, or you can do, there's so many things online you can do, but working with a coach is more fun. Having the synergy of somebody else is more fun. And sometimes just, again, having somebody who will challenge you is a lot more fun, who will say, look, I hear you, but you know what? I'm going to challenge you on that. And even just getting into those lively discussions keeps your brain active. I think the most important thing to saying is, what do you think's making you tick now? Not what made you tick before or, what others think of you, but for yourself, what makes you tick now? What turns your crank now? What's fun for you now? sometimes you can find that by looking at the things that you're attracted to online, or the TV programs that you watch, the books that you read. These are all little clues, the podcasts that you listen to. They're all little clues to say, oh, I'm finding this a lot more interesting. There's a podcast, Julia Louis-Dreyfus from Seinfeld, formerly from Seinfeld. She's got a phenomenal podcast now right now called Wiser. And she talks to older women. So she talks to Jane Fonda and she talks to Isabel Allende and some of these older women. And it's all about how are they living this next chapter of their lives. And it's so exciting and inspiring to listen to because they're doing so much more and they're continuing to do so much more. And we all have that ability to do that. So, listen to those type of things. Listen to the podcast, men and women. Listen to, be inspired, motivate, expose yourself to these stories because you could be the next one.
I like that. And I mean, really, we always want to, I think, feel like we're living a purpose-driven life or somehow connected to a purpose that has meaning.
Exactly. And you know what? Meaning starts with yourself. I mean, it really is to put your own oxygen mask on first before you put on for your child. That still applies to us now. If we are feeling purposeful and full of meaning, the chances are that we'll then go out and do something to help others is fantastic. But it does start with yourself. You've got to get off the couch. You've got to move through that inertia. And you've got to find what makes you happy and alive and excited. And then you bring others into your realm with that. So, look for the thing that starts with you, spark, that re-spark. That's really what we're all looking for as we move into this next chapter.
Retire, rewire, re-spark, reignite your purpose. Very exciting. I mean, Leslie, I feel like you've given us many, many, many golden nuggets.
Well, I hope so. And I hope anybody that's listening, and if you're feeling a little tired, a little overwhelmed, it's tiny little steps. It's not big steps. It's not major things you have to accomplish. It's just that tiny little steps that gets you moving. And as a performance coach, that's one of the first things that you learn when you're studying performance psychology is you bring your goals very, very close to you. You don't work with goals that are far away. You bring those little ones that are close to you. And each time you accomplish something, just a little goal, that makes you feel energized. It makes you feel a lot better. And then you move on to the next one and the next one. So you don't have to plan big things. Just plan something little. Something that's different, something that makes you feel happy today, something that makes you feel a little bit more interesting, and maybe gives you a story at the end of the day, whether you're telling it to a partner or you're telling it to yourself or to your dog.
That's very inspiring. Once again, I love the way you shared that. Bring your goals closer to you. And we can have goals at every stage of our lives. So bring those goals closer to you. That's a great way to get some positive momentum going and open yourself up to different shifts in retirement or at any age in your life. Leslie, I have a feeling, and I get really strong gut feelings that a lot of folks out there are going to want to work with you as a coach. And you are a retirement coach, but you help anyone through any major life change. How can folks connect with you to get coached by you?
Okay, well, my website is www.C3, so the letter C, the number 3, strategies, STRATEGIES. I even have to spell it myself. strategies.com. So you can go on that. You can see all the different programs, and you also get to hear of different people that I've helped. And I've done a lot of work with a lot of businesses, but at this stage in my life, I love working with individuals. So I take a lot of branding and that information that I got from working with big companies and small companies and startups and apply that to people. And then to contact me directly, you can contact me through my email. So that's Leslie, Leslie, that's Leslie. My mom wanted all boys. She got all girls. So I've got 4 sisters. We spell it all the boys' way. Leslie at C3, the letter C, the number 3, strategies.com. Leslie at c3strategies.com. And certainly reach out to me. There's a lot of, I work very quickly with people. That's the whole thing about being a performance coach, is we move very, very quickly through this. This isn't something that you engage in for a long time. The sessions are usually we have like a 3 to 6 session package that we'll do. And then by the end of it, they're way on their way. And then they may check in with me a year later or so forth. But they're certainly not the same people they were when they started. And that's what's so fun and so energizing for both them and me.
You're a powerful coach. And I think even people listening can feel that you can shift people just in the frequency of your voice. So if you are wanting, desiring, or feeling nudged to get some support during retirement, I will have Leslie's contact information in the show notes, but reach out to her. She is even more phenomenal one-on-one. And I am Barbara La Pointe, your host, your PV realtor. I specialize in luxury real estate. So if you need some help, support, or ideas when it comes to luxury real estate, let me know in the comments. Thank you, Leslie. I appreciate your expertise and your passion on this subject.
Well, thanks, Barbara. It's been terrific talking to you. And I'm sure those of people who are looking to move to a new location, this is so exciting. And so this is a time to really pull it all together. So you're already starting to think about rewiring, and that in itself couldn't be any more exciting. So good luck to everyone on that path.
Absolutely. And don't forget to check out Leslie and Leslie's earlier podcast on our show about relocation. That one got some fantastic views and a lot of positive feedback. And so it's been fantastic. Signing off and signing out and wishing everyone abundance, prosperity on the journey of rewirement.